Time is 7:30. I'll call the September 21st meeting of the Yardley Borough Council to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Johnson, if you could begin with our roll call this evening.
Mr. Bria?
I am here.
Ms. Thompson?
Present.
Ms. Siegel-Morris?
Here.
Mr. McCann? Mr. Kirkin?
Present.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
And Mr. Finer.
All right, with 6 members present, we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is community announcements. This is an opportunity for any members of council and then, of course, any members of the public to share upcoming items, events, etc. of interest to the community. Any community announcements from council? Anything from the public? Mr. Applebaum?
Hello, David Applebaum, President of Experience Yardley. I just wanted to let everyone know that Saturday is the finale of a very successful run of Music on Main with a group called Wanamaker Lewis and the Lewis Brothers, a bluegrass band that will be performing from 5 to 7 again this Saturday night. Again, as I said last time, I want to thank everyone on the board and everyone behind the scenes for all your help in making this a success. Our next event, of course, is Canalween Carvathon that begins on October 31st, and the Canalween will run through November 6th. So if you're into carving pumpkins and strolling through the canal, it's a very nice event. I thank you.
Thank you. Any other community announcements this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll go right into the public comment portion of the meeting. And this, of course, is the portion of the meeting when members may address council regarding items that do not appear on the agenda. If you wish to address council regarding an item that does appear on the agenda, you'll be given the opportunity to do so during council's deliberation of that particular business item. Members of the public are asked to please come to our front microphone, state your name and address for the record and for our viewers at home to hear. Also, to please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment this evening? Mr. Wayne.
Rich Wayne, Yardley Harvest Day co-chair. I'm here for 2 reasons tonight. One is to answer any questions that council has about this year's event. And 2, ask you please save the date of September 17th next year. We've already gotten queries from people who really want to come back, and some of them really set their agenda long in advance.
All right. Any questions from council about Harvest Day?
Rich, for me, thank you. I thought it went really well. My family had a great time and looks forward to it every year. From your perspective, like what was good, what can we do? Like what was your perspective of how it went based on what you guys intended?
Overall, I think it went well. We had the most volunteers we've ever had.
Did a great job with the weather.
We had, we had multiple crafters and food trucks that sold out before 2 p.m. We had record t-shirt sales, thanks to some members of the council. So we had fun.
Next year, Paula, let's just mark that on the calendar. Obviously, we'll wait for the event permits to come through, but we can jot that down. I have one question. Nobody get mad at me. How's the tree?
We did not move the fence segment, and in addition, we added more protection than was already there.
Good. A happy ending for all.
Yes.
Anything else for Rich? Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment this evening? Going once? Right, see in the back.
Urbina, 35 South Main Street. I wanted to take this time to address council and the community regarding the numerous false and defamatory accusations that have been mentioned here by John Simone of the Yardley Town Center, as well as the frivolous harassment and attacks that are occurring on my wife Nicole and Lala Lobster by Scott Burney, owner of the Vault, Pretty Bird, White Tory Sushi, and the tap room. I spoke with John Simone many times in November, December, and January. In February, we met, February 4th at 3:30 at Lala Lobster to discuss the parking, how we could work together to make this better for everyone. A month later, he informed me that he did not think that any of our ideas would work. And so at that time, as I do now, I expressed my support of his private parking lot and for our customers not to park there. But this is not about parking, because there's really not a parking problem in the borough. I live here in Yardley, I work here in the borough, I'm here 7 days a week. There's always spaces available. I think from where John Simone sits in his office in New Jersey, he would not know that. But like I said, this is not about parking. On March 16th, I received an invitation from Jim King, who we all know has 5 food and beverage outlets here in the borough. He invited me over to the Vault. I went over with one of our executive members of our staff, what I thought would be yet another wonderful welcoming from another business owner. It was not that. It was the opposite. He proceeded to tell me how we do not fit here in Yardley, and we do not belong in his bucolic town. That our business looks like a cheap yard sale. This was my first conversation with Jim, and as you can imagine, I did not respond well. I did not respond well to his insults, and I think I responded accordingly to them. Subsequently, shortly after that meeting, the frivolous complaints started. The concerted efforts of John Simone and Scott Burley, Jim's partner, have not stopped. As you're aware, on July 30th, John Simone had the audacity to send my wife Nicole and Lala Lobster a cease and desist letter for her to shut down. Scott Burney, Jim's partner, also sent a letter acknowledging Mr. Simone's letter.
Thank you, Mr. Urbina. We're at 3 minutes, so if you could just take maybe 30 seconds to wrap up.
Thank you very much. I was here July 6th at the meeting when you, Mr. Bray, and the solicitor told me that we were compliant because we fall under the code extension of outdoor dining. We are in contact currently with the zoning officer, and he is aware of our variance application. Last week, Scott complained about our ambient music. Now, all restaurants in the borough are not allowed, from what I understand, to be playing music. I did not know that there was an ordinance for no outdoor music. I did not know that it was ever even enforced. If I need to be the Kevin Bacon, Footloose, to say we should have music here, let there be music. In conclusion, simply put, we wish to conduct our business peacefully without these unprovoked attacks by them. It is not for them to say that we do not belong here. We are here,
Thank you, Mr. Urbina. I'm going to have to call time.
and we will not be coerced out. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment this evening? Going once? Going twice? I didn't get to 3 times, so Ms. Perlmutter.
First of all, I would like to correct you. As you know, language has connotations for a number of things, personal pronouns, and I you would never refer to the chief of police as Joe or Mr. Kelly. I have 3 advanced degrees. I have affiliation with the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. I prefer to be called Dr. Perlmutter. Pardon.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Dr. Perlmutter.
Thank you. There is a common denominator with what seems to be happening in the town, and it always comes down to code enforcement. It seems that it is being used, it was used against me as a way to harass. It seems now, from what I'm hearing, that it's being used against other people as a form of harassment. It's not being done correctly. I don't know how many ways I can say this. Some people meet every requirement they're supposed to meet. They get blueprints, they get engineering reports. Contractors in Yardley Borough are required to have contractor's liability insurance. I had done a right-to-know request months ago for bills for Armour and Sons Electric. I had to go through an appeal process to finally obtain what should have been given to me right away. I bring that up because back to this issue, I have a bill, and I'd like you all to have a copy of it, from Armour Electric and Sons. Pass these out, please. Thank you. Where it's invoice number 91002235 for the amount of $2,495.96. Comments reported by Paula, Manager Johnson. Problem, resident was digging in yard at 70 South Main Street and hit a conduit, possibly for streetlights. Upon arrival, found the streetlight conduit for the ornamental streetlights had been hit and damaged. Secured wiring for the time being and covered with plywood, and they had to come back, and it goes into detail. I bring this up because, first of all, it wasn't residents. Mr. and Mrs. Prickett do not live in Yardley Borough. They live in Lower Makefield. Contractors are required to have liability insurance. They are professional contractors that renovate buildings. They hit that conduit, and I do not understand why Yardley Borough has paid a bill of almost $2,500 when in writing it absolutely states that they were responsible for this. As contractors, it should go to their insurance. And I know I brought this up before. I'm not trying to, but I never had this paperwork before, and I don't know why it was being kept from me. And another thing I would just like to say is that right-to-know requests, they continually go in because they never get answered. In fact, a lot of the things I have to request should be public information, should be on the website. I should not have to request all these things. We used to be able to just go to the office and look at files. It was never this procedure, and then I have to do appeals to get information that should have just been given to me. So, in light of all of these, everything comes down to the same thing: code enforcement and bad management. Their town is in chaos. There are parking wars. There's all kinds of wars going on here.
Thank you. As you heard from my phone, that's time.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought you were getting a phone call. Okay, so I would just like to request that this code enforcement be put on an agenda item. The code enforcement officer should be here to answer some questions. That's what I'm requesting.
Thank you for your comments. Have any other public comment this evening? Say in the back.
Kim Prickett, 70 South Main Street. Ms. Perlmutter just made a comment about me being a professional contractor. I'm not. I have a job. As regards to the lights, the conduit being broken, folks should know that we called PA1 call, and the contractor contractor that we use to actually hit the line had called VA1 call. It was KD Seifert Incorporated. They are the contractor in this instance, and I take offense to Ms. Perlmutter continuing to harp on an issue that is not my responsibility, having called and having a contractor, licensed contractor, do the work, also call. And unfortunately, the line was not marked by PICO and it was hit. So I am not responsible for it. The contractor that we hired to do the work is not responsible for it. I think it is irresponsible of Ms. Perlmutter to come before the board and continue to harp and say, this is my fault. Ms. Perlmutter is running for public office. I can just imagine what she would do if she actually gets on council, as she continues to harass me and work that we do on homes that we own. We are not contractors, and we follow the code as written by our borough. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment tonight? Going once, going twice. We will close the public comment portion of the meeting. Next up is consideration of our consent agenda dated for today, September 21st. There are 4 items on the consent agenda today. Those are approval of the minutes dated for September 7th, the bills list dated for today, September 21st. There are also 2 certificates of appropriateness. One is for a fence, roof, and window at 35 South Main. One is for a fence at 25 South Main. I also just want to note on the certificate of appropriateness 21-29 for council, that's the one at 25 South Main. There was a little bit of back and forth about the decision that came out of HARB. We are considering the certificate as submitted originally in writing in the packet tonight. And I've instructed the parties involved that if they want to revisit that, they could certainly make a change and it could come back to council as a new certificate. But just because I know that there was an email to council, there was some confusion. We are considering the application as submitted in writing. With that, is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
A motion was made by Ms. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Siegel-Morris. Any questions, comments from council?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to just understand, bills list, got it, minutes, got it. So this would approve the two certificates of appropriateness relate to the 2 separate fences as submitted. And then
Correct.
if we were to approve as submitted, and then one of the 2 certificates would like to amend, what would be the process for them to do that after we approve it?
Go back to HARB, approve a
Because
change
everything
or
everything
new.
goes, they would have approval to do what they initially approved, then they would go back to HARB,
Correct,
and then would come back again.
correct. I think it's just the cleanest way to handle the confusion.
Okay, and this is maybe very, nitpicky, but what is the Girton building that was mentioned on one of these certificate of appropriatenesses? And maybe it's a question for Jerry. Which one is that?
Lobster.
That's,
It was the original curtain beam, so that's in the historic.
yeah, okay, it's the front of the 2.
So, yeah, and
Right, okay,
the fence, the 6-foot fence would stop 4 foot behind that,
got it,
so that the historic character of the building can be seen.
got it, thank you.
Right. Any other further questions on the consent agenda? Any questions from the public on the consent agenda? Mr. Applebaum?
Could you just identify which buildings these are? I think 25 is
The question was to identify the
parking
building.
lot? Yes.
So the 25 South Main Street is Yardley Town Center, correct?
Yep.
That's the parking lot. And 35 South Main Street is next door, La Lobster. Any other questions?
I have questions.
Ms. Perlmutter?
But they're not on the fence situation, they're on the bills, since we're doing the consent agenda, unless you want to wait till you vote on that particular one.
Let's do it now.
Okay. The bills list has 3 separate checks to Ken's Lawn Service. One is check number 1922 19260 for $5,368. One is for, let's see, check number 381 for $360, and one is check number 988 for $333. That seems like a lot of money for lawn cutting. I don't know what $5,368 represents. Seems like a lot.
Just during the high water events.
Right, so Ken's Lawn Service does much more than cut lawns, as it turns out, and handles many of what in larger municipalities are handled by a public works department. We don't have one, so we do have a contractor take care of these. So following our little incident with the river, where the streets had to be cleared away, clean, but a lot of that was clearing mud and debris from the roads.
Oh, okay. He keeps his equipment in the annex. Is he paying rent for that?
Do we have equipment? I don't have equipment over there, do
The
we?
only thing that's in there is our paint sprayer, our equipment.
Oh, it's the borough's equipment, okay. Another question is uniform gear, check number 19267, $148.98. Is that more uniforms for the police?
That is a department bill. I know that we have routine, and that's part of our contract, I think. It's built in that
Was
we,
it for the auxiliary police?
I don't believe so, no. I don't, it's in one of these folders here, but no. That's a routine invoice that appears regularly.
Okay, and then just one other thing, as a follow-up, after Ms. Prickett said that PICO did not respond correctly, then I think PICO should pay that $2,500 bill. The borough should not be paying a bill if contractors.
Thank you. We discussed that. That's outside the purview of the consent agenda.
But she just said it was PICO that did that, so.
I understand. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye. 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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0. All right, our next agenda item is a report from Chief Kelly.
No report this evening, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move over to Manager Johnson, your report.
The first thing I had is the mayor and I were contacted by a woman's place. It's a domestic violence awareness organization who would like to do a community outreach on September 25th. It's across Bucks County, it's not just in Yardley Borough. They would like to have a table in town providing information. They would also like to tie purple ribbons around poles as a symbol of domestic violence awareness. And they would also like to change the light bulbs by the mural to purple. So we just wanted to get consensus on that. That's something that we would like to see done in our day.
I think so. Any comments?
Do we own the light bulbs near the mural? I mean the tea lights?
I believe that Councilwoman Thompson has the floor.
Sorry.
I'm asking Paula, which, the tea lights or the street lights?
String lights. Right, the string lights.
Okay,
The
yes, we don't,
holiday
oh,
lights.
okay, we don't own them though, so. Otherwise, sounds good.
So, Mr. Applebaum, we put purple lights in your string lights.
Yes, no?
I was going to acknowledge Chief.
Quickly, sorry, I'd just like to acknowledge and know that it's a long-standing partner of the police department who operates primarily behind the scenes with us day in and day out. And the last couple of weeks has assisted us on a number of critical incidents. So anything we could do to assist them would be definitely beneficial to our relationship.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor Harding?
Megan, just a 30-second background. So I
Of
was
course.
contacted and they said, hey, we would love to tie ribbons and all those things. And they said, well, I'm not sure that will work because they even acknowledge a lot of towns have restrictions against tying things on poles and things like that. So I said, well, maybe a creative idea is we have this beautiful mural that was done by the help of Experience Yardley, and there are some lights there. It's become a photograph point for a lot of people, and maybe if those lights could be purple in relation to your organization for a week, then that would be a great photo spot, not only for everyone, but for also to promote your organization. So that was how kind of this concept came out. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but that's kind of the backtrack of where we're at.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Applebaum, I think now might be the appropriate time to provide some input.
Thank you, everyone. Can I have those dates again?
September 25th. Is it just a day? Oh,
Well,
no, it would be a couple of days.
okay, and today is the 21st.
21st.
Thanks for the, let me, no. Okay, so I would be extremely pleased to support this initiative. I need to locate purple
We'll
bulbs.
take care of that. It's not,
You will?
yeah, we're going to handle that
Okay,
between that organization and this.
okay. Then I don't have much else to say, except I'd be happy to help put them up. Otherwise, I didn't. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so council, if we have consensus on this, I don't think we need to make a formal motion to approve purple lights going up. We could do ribbons too. I don't think it, does anybody have strong opinions about this? I think it can be handled administratively, is what I'm saying. Ms. Taylor. For the record, I do see what is going on. I'm trying to finish one thought before we move on to the next. I know that everyone's very anxious to have their time up front. Ms. Taylor.
Just making sure. Susan Taylor, 35 Open Lane. After seeing examples in other towns, if you do choose to approve the purple ribbons, I believe that you should also put a stipulation of who is responsible for taking them down and by what date they should be taken down.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comments as related to purple ribbons and purple lights for A Woman's Place? I do think it's a good idea. It sounds like council has given consent on this, so all of you can handle in your capacity as manager to make sure they go up and come down.
And the next thing I have is all of council received the draft preliminary 2022 budget. I think it's a pretty good budget. We know 2020 gave us some unexpected challenges because of COVID-19. Therefore, we had some revenue deficit of $50,000 to $70,000. Council approved a $4 million increase for 2021. There was a number of projects that we had to move from 2020 to 2021, which we did achieve, such as the annex roof, doors on Borough Hall were ordered along the way, additional maintenance and upkeep of the equipment in Borough Hall, like an AC unit, a new stair lift. We updated and installed all new trash cans in the borough, and we ordered a new police car that we should be having sometime this fall. We don't anticipate a tax increase for 2022, and we continue to save for capital reserve. We're working on future projects. Council is going to be discussing any capital projects that we're going to focus on for 2022. We have our phase 3 sidewalks to look forward to next year. We're working on the bridge. Eco lot is going to increase our open space and benefit our CRS, and that we anticipate happening next year as well. As I said, it's a very preliminary draft. We discussed it at general government some. We still have some work to do, but I think it's a good start of a working document.
Thank you. Anyone on council have any points they'd like to discuss, questions they'd like to ask? Anyone? All right, I know many of you here for general government. I just want to reiterate what Manager Johnson stated, which is that this is a very preliminary version of our budget. It's going to change quite a bit. We are, of course, still looking at how some of those rescue plan funds are going to be allocated. There was a formula for just straight revenue loss replacement, which is pretty easy to figure out, but drilling down into the specific allocations and saying, which general fund projects can be replaced by ARPA money is going to make a big difference in where we land and which capital projects we move forward with next year versus the following year. So much more to come. I know that in the past, we have done some special working sessions on the budget. I don't believe we have any planned, but certainly to those of you who are interested, stay tuned. We are still working towards a complete document that is ready for presentation. I think that's the best way to put it.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. With that, we will close out the manager's report. Public comment is passed. We will move to our solicitor. Do we have any report tonight?
No report this evening.
All right, thank you.
On the budget, I didn't get to ask questions about the budget.
There's no vote on the budget. Public comment would have been the appropriate time, but it's,
I didn't realize that.
thank you. We'll move on to council member reports. Mr. Curtin, do you have anything tonight?
No report.
Mr. Ross?
Public Works met tonight. We have our HOP for phase 2 of the sidewalk, but we need to submit some paperwork for the MTF grant so we can actually get that money, and we can't send a sidewalk out to bid until all that paperwork gets reviewed. So we should have all that paperwork on Wednesday, and then we'll submit it right away. And then we're going to call our representatives to see if we can get it pushed through to get the sidewalks thrown out to bid as soon as possible. And then that was pretty much the main focus of it, and then everything else we would have updates at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Ms. Siegel-Morris?
Nothing to report this evening.
Okay, I'll skip myself. Ms. Thompson, any report?
Just a reminder, budget-wise, for everyone who chairs the committee to speak with Paula about your expected spend in 2022. And if you don't, then forever hold your peace. I wanted to report out that Parks and Rec is taking a look at the tot lot and giving it a refresh in partnership with a Girl Scout troop that wants to use it as their Bronze Award project. So fixing up the equipment, redoing the mural, etc., adding shade. So that will be on your agenda probably from Parks and Rec in the coming months. One other thing I wanted to mention that's escaping me. Oh, yes, Parks and Rec's Halloween parade is set for the 30th of October. So all are welcome. We'd love some community council representation there to watch the little kiddos parade and have a good time. It's good that it's back this year. That's all I have to report.
All right, thank you, Ms. Thompson. Mr. McCann is not with us this evening, so Mr. Finer, any report tonight?
No report, thank you.
All right, thank you. Does any member of council have either a discussion item or other business they'd like to raise at this time? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. I know, it just started in here again.